I've disappeared for so long, I'm sorry. Wits closing just pushed my procrastinating butt into gear. I've made so many stories yet all of them were left unfinished. I'm gonna try my best though.
We do the stupidest stuff, I swear. Dash. A loud sound echoed within the room, causing the male to groan. He reached towards his nightstand and pressed the snooze button on his phone. He snuggled in his blankets before hearing a ping sound, indicating that he received a notification. He shot up quickly from his bed and reached for his phone quickly. He turned on his phone to see that the notification was from his online friend on Discord. He smiled to himself before pressing the notification. Dash. Hi Omi. Good morning, wake up fool. The curly head raised his eyebrow after reading the message. It was such a weird way to be woken up in the morning. Weird and rude. What do you want? It's so damn early. Sakusa yawned as he sent that last text. He was happy when his online friend texted him, but sometimes he texted at weird hours. I wanted to know whether I should wear black or blue jeans. I know you did not just wake me up for that. Despite him already being up prior to him getting this message, he couldn't help being a little shocked from his friend's behavior. Deciding whether to wear black or blue jeans shouldn't be something you text someone about. I sure did. So, who fucking cares, man? No need to be mad. It's an important question. Sakusa scoffed and closed the app. He placed his phone back on his nightstand before getting up and out of his bed. He made his bed and was about to make his way to the bathroom when his phone started going off. He walked back towards his phone and a dozen notifications from his Discord friend flooded his screen. I know you did not just go offline. I need help, please Fedster. We have some unfinished business, you ho. Hell will be waiting when you get back online. Dash. Oh damn, looks like someone's mad. Sakusa giggled to himself. He threw his phone onto his bed and made his way to the bathroom to take a shower. At times he's grateful for at least having a friend, even if it's an online friend, but at times he wonders if his friend is mentally okay. Sakusa met his online friend that he calls Achu during a game called Among Us, when quarantine was going on and everyone was stuck at home. They friended each other in Discord and have been texting ever since. He doesn't know Atsu's full name, but it's the same for his friend. He goes by Yomi, yet his darling friend just calls him Omi. Sakusa's grateful because he doesn't have any friends at his school. He's not an outcast, just someone in the shadows. He doesn't mind it though, he's just happy to have Achu. Sakusa relies on him so much despite Achu just being an online friend he doesn't know the full name of. He just knows that Achu lives in Japan, in the same city as him, and that he has a brother. He wonders why they've still never met in person despite living so close to each other. He would have thought Achu would have brought it up after so long. Sakusa would like to meet his online friend in person, but as of this moment he's not ready just yet. The two of them don't talk much about personal facts about themselves. But Sakusa thinks that it's easier to talk to someone online about serious stuff or problems because they don't fully know you. Either way, at least he has someone. Sakusa finished up with the shower and made it to his room. He walked over to his closet to pick out his clothes for the day. He decided to wear blue jeans and a plain black shirt. At least he can decide on what color jeans to wear instead of a certain someone. He got everything he needed and made his way downstairs. He walked towards the kitchen and grabbed an apple from the fruit bowl before making his way to the entrance of his house. Before opening the door, Sakusa scratched his head. He realized he had forgotten to put on his headphones. He quickly made his way upstairs to his room. He went into his room and grabbed his headphones from his desk and placed them around his neck. He quickly made his way back downstairs and slipped on his shoes before opening the door and closing it behind him. He locked the door and made his way to the bus stop. Unfortunately for him, the bus stop was 2 blocks away, so he always needed to leave his house 20 minutes before the bus actually got to the bus stop. The only good thing is that Sakusa gets to see someone he's had his eye on for a while. Ever since he entered high school, he's had a very big crush. His crush always gets on the bus 6 stops after him. Sakusa always gets butterflies whenever he sees his crush. It's a feeling he's never felt before. He adores his little blonde crush. High school was a big and new environment. Seeing all the new faces made him overwhelmed. Every second was nerve-wracking for him. Yet when he started getting comfortable in his new environment, he noticed a certain blonde he couldn't keep his eyes off of. Sakusa always seemed drawn to people who were popular or well-known, yet they still treated him nicely, such as greetings or other small nice gestures. Aside from his crush, Sakusa has no distractions or problems. No one bothers him. Being alone might be lonely, but it's peaceful. Although Sakusa did wish he had someone by his side during some points in his life, he couldn't be bothered to actually come out of his comfort zone and meet new people. There's no harm in staying in your comfort zone. It all depends on you. Sakusa made his way to the bus stop. He looked down the street to see the bus approaching. He sighed, feeling glad that his little stall didn't cause him to miss the bus. He took out his wallet from his back pocket and took out his transit card as the bus pulled up in front of him. As the bus doors opened in front of him, he slipped his wallet back into his pocket while stepping onto the bus. He tapped his card on the machine and the sound of his card declining echoed throughout the entire bus. Shit. Sakusa cursed under his breath as he shoved his hand into his pocket, looking for any loose change. He managed to find a few coins. Not many people carry cash around these days, but when he heard the bus driver speak, he lifted up his head slowly. It's okay, son. We all have those days. Take a seat. Sakusa looked up at the bus driver in shock. He didn't expect that at all. He was grateful. He bowed his head slightly before giving the latter a small smile. Thank you so much, sir. The elderly bus driver smiled at Sakusa and started to drive the bus. Good and bad things can happen seconds between each other. He was just tapping and tapping. He didn't realize that he used up all his money. However, he still should have been aware of his spendings. Luckily for him, there weren't many people on the bus because his stop was at the start of the route, but that doesn't make it any less embarrassing. He made his way to the back of the bus and took a seat at the very back. Sakusa noticed that if you sat at the back, less people would sit next to him. He took his headphones from around his neck and placed them on his head. He connected them to his phone and started looking through his playlists, wondering what he should listen to. He decided to go with his playlist with indie rock songs. Sakusa turned his headphones all the way up, blocking every single sound and person around him. His everyday commute to school was quite long. His school was 10 bus stops away. However, that was the price of going to a good school. Sakusa passed his entrance exam for a very prestigious school. He worked his ass off just to go there. The only downfall was how long it took to get there, but he definitely didn't have enough money to get a car, so bus it is. He looked out the window, watching the same buildings and houses come and leave his vision. As the bus ride went on, his crush's stop was inching closer. Not much later, the bus made it to his crush's stop. Sakusa looked away from the window and to the front of the bus. He saw the blonde walk onto the bus. He tapped his transfer card and luckily it didn't decline like Sakusa's did. His eyes followed the blonde's every movement right until the moment when the blonde sat down. The blonde sat 2 seats in front of him, giving him a clear view of the goddess before him. He pulled out his phone from his pocket. He turned it on and the phone unlocked due to face recognition. He made his way to Discord and opened his and Atsu's chats. "I'm back, loser." Sakusa looked up from his phone for a second to glance at the blonde in front of him. In no time his phone buzzed. He looked down to see that his friend responded. "So now you decided to come back. I was in a crisis." "You were not in a crisis. I was too. What do you want, you betrayer? I need help. Shove a stick up your ass. Stop being mean." "Who was being mean this morning?" "It wasn't me. You with your stupid ass question, I swear. You did not just say that. See if I help you now." "Wait, I'm sorry." "Well, since you apologized, what do you want?" Okay. My crush is sitting in front of me. I've wanted to talk to them for a while but I'm scared." "Aren't you like 6 foot? Grow some balls, man. Height doesn't matter in this, you fool." "Riz him up. Rock his world." Shaking face. "I'm being serious." "Wait, hold up. Send me a pic of them, I wanna see." Sakusa looked up at the blonde and back down to his phone. There was no way he was sending a picture of his crush to his friend. Hell no. "Why not? I wanna see your taste." "What's your taste?" "Hot men and women." "What a wide variety." As Sakusa sent that last text, the bus finally pulled up to the bus stop in front of his school. He stood up and walked behind the blonde along with a few other kids that went to his school. They all made their way off the bus. Sakusa looked back down at his phone and sighed. Every serious conversation they tried to have always turned into some fruity stuff. "I just got to school. Talk to you later." What a coincidence, me too. Still waiting on that pic though. Sakusa glanced at the text and rolled his eyes, as if he would. Achu lives in the same city as him. What if they know each other? Sakusa wasn't taking any risks. Sakusa made his way into the school and to his homeroom class. He walked to his seat in the back corner and slumped into his seat. He just got to school but all he wants to do is go home. He had a few minutes before school started, so he started scrolling through Instagram on his phone. As he was mindlessly scrolling, a dozen notifications from Discord flooded his screen. Omi hello. Yomi. Okay, I'm curious. What's your crush like? None of your business. You literally asked for advice like 10 minutes ago. Since you don't wanna send pictures, tell me. Sakusa looked over to the other side of the classroom where the blonde seat was. He saw that the blonde was also using his phone. However, now that he's thinking about it, his Discord's friend's name kind of sounds like his crush's name. Tell me, what's their name? Or maybe hair color? Their name starts with an A and they're a blonde like you. OMG twins. Are you sure your crush isn't me? Hell no. Damn, that hurt, bestie. But you know, if we were to meet you'd be drooling over me. Doubtful. Not much potential from your profile pic. It's literally just my back. And that's a lot of talk for someone who's covering their whole face. I can't even see what you look like. Like super emo. I am not emo. Yeah right, you fraud. I'm mad at you. I'm a whole snack. Literally a bully. I'm literally not. Sakusa was too busy texting Achu to ever realize that his teacher was standing right in front of him. He slowly looked up to see his teacher scoffing at him with her arms crossed. Too busy texting, I see. Sakusa quickly turned his phone off and placed it on his desk. He gave his teacher a nervous smile. His head was really in the clouds. Sorry mom, it won't happen again. I bet it won't. She turned around and followed suit towards the front of the class. Sakusa sighed in relief, feeling happy that all she did was speak to him. While his teacher had her back turned, Sakusa quickly picked up his phone and made his way into the Discord app. I got caught texting. That woman is so damn scary, I thought I wanna gonna shit myself. Hahaha. That's a coincidence, cause someone in my class got caught texting too. If you get caught again, I'm gonna cry. I should probably go before I get caught. Bye. Bye Cookie Bear. Sakusa raised his eyebrow whilst looking at his phone. Achu was really a weird cookie. He wondered if Achu would act the same way in real life like he does when they text. He erased the thought from his head and pulled out his notebook for his class. Right now isn't the time to be slacking off. The time went by and PE class finally came. Everyone in Sakusa's class changed into their gym clothes and made their way outside to meet with their teacher. Once everyone was present, the gym teacher started talking about what they would be doing for the day. Gym teacher, alright, for today we're going to be playing tennis. You pick who you play with, either 2-on-2 or singles. Everyone in the class cheered. Well, except for Sakusa. The number of people in his class was an odd number, meaning when there's teams or pairs, Sakusa's usually the odd man out. As he watched everyone make their teams, he walked over to the bin of rackets and grabbed one. He walked over to a tree and sat under it. He fiddled with the racket as he watched people start to make their way onto the tennis courts to start their matches. Sakusa sighed. These are the times he wished he had a friend or at least an acquaintance to play with. Sakusa pulled out his phone. Since was bored and had nothing else to do, he decided to see if his friend wasn't busy. Hey Achu. He stared at his phone for at least 3 minutes before putting it down. He guessed Achu was busy. He watched his crush play with 3 other people since there wasn't anything else to do. As he was watching the blonde, he saw the blonde trip over his own feet and land on his face. Ouch. Sakusa was too busy watching the situation before him. He didn't realize that he accidentally called Achu. He heard his phone ringing and was shocked to see Atsu's profile on his screen. He quickly picked up his phone and ended the call. He went into their chats and sent a quick text. Sorry about the call. I accidentally pressed it. Sakusa made sure to exit the app and turn off his phone. He watched as everyone gathered around the blonde. It seemed like a really bad fall. His gym teacher rushed to the blonde. He couldn't exactly make out what was going on, but he had an idea. He kept on watching to see what would happen. As much as he wanted to run over there and help out, it would be awkward, so he just stayed put. Well, that was until he saw his gym teacher signaling for him to come. He looked around, then pointed to himself. The gym teacher nodded at Sakusa and continued to gesture for him to come. He slipped his phone in his pocket and grabbed the racket from beside him. He made his way over to the crowd. He pushed his way through to see the blonde sitting on the floor and the gym teacher squatting next to him. Sakusa, I need you to bring Mia to the nurse's office. I think he sprained his ankle, so be careful. And I'll take the racket. The gym teacher stood up as Sakusa nodded. He handed over the tennis racket and squatted, making his way to the blonde's level. He's never been this close to his crush before. The amount of butterflies filling up his stomach was unreal. All of you guys go away. Continue your game. And you guys, continue playing without Mia, he said as he pointed at the group the blonde was playing with before. All his classmates left and continued the class as the gym teacher said. Meanwhile, Sakusa was trying to figure out how to help without hurting the blonde. Sorry for all the trouble. Sakusa looked up and was met with the blonde's honey brown eyes. He was love-struck. At this point he couldn't even describe his own feelings. No, it's not a problem, Mia. Just call me Atsumu. Everyone calls me that. If that's alright with you. First name basis was all Sakusa could think about, yet he seemed to forget everyone calls Atsumu by his first name minus some of their teachers. Sakusa helped Atsumu's up and wrapped the blonde's arm around his neck. However, the blonde looked a bit uncomfortable. Sakusa wondered if he would even be able to walk on his sprained ankle. He built up the courage to ask, do you want me to carry you on my back? Atsumu turned his head and looked at Sakusa in shock. Despite that being very nice of the curly head, Atsumu wasn't a light guy. As much as I would appreciate that, I'm kind of heavy. Don't worry. I'll be fine. Sakusa giggled like a little girl on the inside. He was actually holding a conversation with the latter. Nothing could have made him happier. He slowly removed Atsumu's hand from his neck and crouched down in front of the blonde. Are you sure? I am. Sakusa wondered why Atsumu was so nervous about getting a piggyback ride, but everyone has their worries and problems. Before long the blonde slowly crawled on Sakusa's back. Sakusa held the blonde's thighs while he stood up straight. Atsumu wasn't even that heavy, although all the credit goes to his workouts. Kudos to weight training. He just couldn't believe he was just so close to Atsumu. He thanked the gods. He was touching Atsumu's thighs. He was so thankful because the blonde happened to be wearing shorts. He could only imagine this situation going on in his head. Sakusa's a little perv. The two made his way inside the school building. Unfortunately for him, the nurse's office was on the 2nd floor. He made his way to the school staircase, but before anything he heard the blonde speak. If you want, I can walk up the stairs. I don't want to burden you too much. Sakusa's ears turned pink. Atsumu whispered in his ear and it made him feel so many things. He would do anything for the blonde. Carrying him up 2 flights of stairs? Piece of cake. You're injured. It's the least I can do. Sakusa carried Atsumu up the stairs and honestly, it was easier said than done, but he hoped Atsumu didn't see him struggling on the last few steps. A man has his limits. The two made their way to the nurse's office and started opening the door. He stepped inside and looked around. It seemed like the nurse wasn't there at the moment. Sakusa walked over to a bed and placed the blonde on it. Atsumu let out a breath in relief. Nothing could describe how thankful he is to Sakusa as of this moment. Thanks so much. Yeah, the best. The blonde looked up at Sakusa with a small smile on his face. This gesture alone made Sakusa's whole face turn pink. He couldn't understand how Atsumu was so charming, beautiful, considerate and understanding. And that's not even close to all the words he can describe Atsumu with. Sakusa buried his face in his hands and turned away from the latter. He couldn't contain himself anymore. Any little action or gesture from the blonde would make him flustered. Sakusa mumbled a response back. He couldn't let Atsumu see his face all red. That would be embarrassing. It's no problem. You should stay here for a bit. It's the perfect opportunity to skip. Sakusa removed his hands from his face and turned to face Atsumu. Today was full of surprises, and he's loving it. He nodded as he took a seat on the chair beside the bed the blonde is sitting on. He wondered if they were going to do anything exciting in the nurse's office since they were the only ones in there. His imagination was running wild. He was shaken out of his thoughts by a hand on his shoulder. You good? Sakusa nodded slowly. He just couldn't imagine this. He was crushing on Atsumu like a grade school student, because he was sure acting like one. He couldn't help it. He's never had a crush this big before. The blonde pulled out his phone and began typing away on it. He finished what he was doing on his phone and placed it down beside him. At the same exact moment Sakusa's phone buzzed. He ignored it, knowing that it would be his friend. Right now he focused on the person before him. So, why were you not playing? Oh, I didn't have anyone to play with. Seriously? Next gym class you could totally hang with me. Sakusa looked at Atsumu in surprise. He smiled softly at the latter, but his smile soon faded off his face. Atsumu was injured and who knew when he would recover. Are you sure you can play with that injury? I sure hope so. Speaking of, can you please get me a tensor band from the cabinet? Sakusa stood up from where he was sitting and made his way to the cabinet where all the medical stuff was held. He opened the cabinet. His eyes scanned through all the equipment in there. He soon found what he was looking for. He grabbed it and closed the cabinet. He walked back towards the blonde and handed him the tensor band. Thanks. Atsumu took off his shoe and started wrapping the band around his ankle and foot. His injury felt more secured. Hopefully the swelling goes down. Yeah. Well, forget about me. How are you? I'm fine. Are you sure? After this morning? You saw that? Course I did. It was kinda funny, not gonna lie. It was not. I was scared for my life. Atsumu started laughing. As much as it was funny for him, it was the exact opposite for Sakusa. It was almost a near-death experience. Nonetheless, he was happy to see the blonde laughing and having a good time because of him. Well, this is kind of out of the blue, but do you play any games? Sakusa raised his eyebrow. He was a game fanatic, but he didn't want Atsumu to know that. There was a good chance the blonde would think of him like a widow. Maybe Resident Evil. And I've been playing Street Fighter 6 a lot lately. You really know those? Not many people I know play those. Okay. Who's your main in Street Fighter? I have to say Luke or Chun-Li. I main Jamie. Sakusa could see the excitement bubbling up inside of Atsumu. He didn't peg the blonde to be into gaming the way he is. Jamie, really? What do you mean really? That man is smoking hot. Sakusa almost started laughing. If anything, he's smoking hot. He's got competition now. Atsumu saw that Sakusa was trying not to laugh. He huffed and crossed his arms on his chest. My taste not good enough for you, Mr. Gamer God? That's not it. I almost don't believe you. Moving past the fact that you don't like Jamie, we should play together. Give me your number. The blonde said as he fished his phone out of his pocket. He unlocked the phone and handed it to Sakusa. Sakusa looked up at Atsumu and blushed. This was officially the best day of his life. As he was putting in his number, he accidentally swiped down on the notification center. His eyes quickly scanned all the blonde's notifications, but his eyes widened when he saw a familiar name. Missed call from Yomi. Sakusa quickly swiped the notification center away before Atsumu could see the shock on his face. He finished putting his number in and handed the phone back to Atsumu. He knew anyone could be called that, but he wanted to make sure. It would be such a weird coincidence if his crush was also his online friend for 3 years. He pulled out his phone and made his way to the Discord app. No problem, but you will not believe what happened. I totally sprained my ankle. Hurts like a little bitch, man. How'd that happen? As Sakusa sent that text, he heard Atsumu's phone go off. It was the Discord notification sound. Sakusa needed to think of a way to ask Atsumu without sounding like a creep. You still use Discord? Atsumu looked up at Sakusa in shock. He uses Discord every day. He couldn't imagine his life without it. Of course. I still have friends I made back in quarantine. Crazy, right? Very. There were so many thoughts going through Sakusa's mind he just couldn't wrap his head around it. Things were moving too fast for his brain to process any of it. So, do they actually know things about you? Like your actual name? Course not. We have fake names. Sakusa found the perfect opportunity to ask something he's been dying to know about. So what do you call your friend? I gave him the cutest nickname. I call him Omi.